Hey everyone, Clueless Dad here. I wanted to do a quick follow-up review on the ZOBO EasyLite, the low-cost stroller that we got while we were in the U.S. We were on a 3-week family trip, and we used it literally every day, pretty much. And not just use it a little bit, we used it quite a lot. So while we were back visiting my parents, because of jet lag, we were up at like 6 in the morning. So we would take this guy on morning walks around our neighborhood. You know, we literally did maybe 5 kilometers or 3 miles a day, every day for 10 days straight with this thing. And it wasn't perfect, but it did handle, nice smooth asphalt reasonably well. When you got on a bike path, something with kind of patchy concrete and potholes, not so great, but for what it is, it did do a decent job. For the next part of our trip, we did a cross-country drive out west through all the national parks. And in every national park, they have some wheelchair-accessible areas where there's pavement and some relatively smooth path that if it can handle a wheelchair, it should be able to handle a stroller. So we did try to take advantage of those whenever they're possible. And for the most part, again, the ZOBO did a decent job. If it was pavement, it was okay. If it was compacted dirt, as long as there are not too many tree roots and other things kind of blocking it, it was actually doable with some struggle. I did have to struggle a bit. And then a couple times we ran into like loose sand, or even worse was gravel, and that was just a nightmare. So I really wish, I wish I magically brought my Stoller with me, because that could definitely have handled it a lot better than this guy. But again, for $60 and for the light convenience of it, it did a decent job. So now that we have this experience, I want to just give some other feedback on what we liked about it and what we didn't like. So going back to my video on how to choose a good stroller, let's start with the wheels. Wheels make or break a stroller. This one, the wheels were really the Achilles heel. They were okay, but just look at how these wheels look after 3 or 4 weeks of using. So because it has this hard plastic that's still compliant, if you hit like a really sharp rock or whatever, it literally leaves a puncture mark, and it gets chewed up pretty badly. So, it would have been really nice to have better wheels. I should have followed my own advice and sprung for the more expensive ones that had better wheels. So the next one that I could say is a negative is the harness. So this one only has a 3-point harness, and at the time I got it, I was like, it should be okay for now. But really, I miss a 5-point harness. So as you can see, my son's kind of shifting around. He can lean to the side. If he falls asleep, he ends up kind of sliding sideways. It would have been really nice to have some shoulder straps in there to keep him in place. And now also there's a danger that he's going to smack his teeth on the tray. So again, if you can get a 5-point harness, get a 5-point harness. Last but not least, the storage on the bottom, actually pretty decent. Compared to some of the other strollers we've used and looked at, it does have a decent amount of space for the cost and size. So I should note that after we got this one at Toys R Us, when we did visit Bye Bye Baby, I saw some strollers that were of similar price range, still sub $100, that actually had some pretty decent large wheels with rubber tires. And I actually got to the point where I was like, oh, maybe I can return this one to Toys R Us and then go and buy that one. I could see already that the tires were going to be a limitation on this, and so the thought of getting slightly better tires, even for a little bit more money, was already appealing to me at that point. And that's before we went off-road in the national parks. So just keep that in mind. If you can find a sub-$100 one with some tires that look a little bit more like this, then definitely consider it. For the price point, you can't really complain about the ZOBO too much. I think even now you can get it online for only $52 or something. The value that you get for your money is half decent. And if you can just live with some limitations on where you can push it, it's actually not too bad. And to put my money where my mouth is, we actually have another trip to the U.S. to go to a friend's wedding coming up in about 3 weeks, and we're going to be bringing the ZOBO with us again. So I think that's the moral of the story. If you get this one, it's actually not that bad. You won't regret it too much. If I had a chance to buy it again, I might buy a different one, but I'm not going to dump this one and buy something else anytime soon. That said, when I'm in Hong Kong and we have our Stoller, I basically just use the Stoller. So this one sits on the shelf until we go on trips. Okay, that's it for today. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. Give us a thumbs up, and please consider hitting that subscribe button. And these pads get worn in. It won't be as tricky as I'm finding it right now on the first try. But see, I can already get it off easier, so not that bad.